Hi, I'm Ashay. I'm an engineer by training and a storyteller by passion. I made this podcast to talk about data science, but no math, no equations, just intuitions behind data science. The episodes are not in any particular order, and you can just tune into any episode and listen to something related to data science. Let's get started. Let's discuss a little bit about supervised machine learning in this episode. And let's understand the meaning of every single word in this three-word set. What is supervised, what is machine, and what is learning? So let's quickly understand the machine learning part. In another episode of this podcast, I talked about when we say machine learning, what we are trying to say is we want the machine in front of us to learn something. And we are training the machine on certain mathematical methods or data analysis methods so that the machine can do some tasks by itself without human intervention. And that's machine learning. And when we say supervised machine learning, think of it as an exam that we are solving for the machine. So we are giving a bank of questions and we are also giving answers to those questions. So machine learns how to answer those types of questions. And then when we ask another question without providing the answer, if the machine has learned, then the machine will provide the answer. Now, obviously, in this situation, the more questions and more answers you provide as training to the machine is going to learn better and will be able to provide the answer in a much better form than it would if you have provided only few questions and answers. So let's talk an analogy of a dessert menu at a restaurant. And um, there are some cakes, there are some pastries, there are some uh, other desserts that the restaurant provides or a bakery provides. And every single dessert has some amount of sugar in its ingredients. So some, let's say cakes have 5 grams of sugar, but pastries might have 10 grams of sugar. If we just give this data to a machine and ask machine to do some data analysis on it, then the machine might say, okay, out of the 10 menu items that you have, 10 out of the 10 menu items you have, 6 of them have 5 grams of sugar and 4 of them have 10 grams of sugar. So that's kind of a classification that the machine can do itself if you provide the list of ingredients. However, the menu items that have 10 grams of sugar are more sweet or sweeter than the items that have 5 grams of sugar. This kind of dependency on the amount of sugar and the level of sweetness is something that needs to be told to the machine. The machine by itself is not going to know that more sugar means sweeter the product. So it's kind of like an if then statement when you are uh, working with supervised machine learning methods. You are providing these if then statements to the machine that if you have less sugar, then it is less sweet. If you have more sugar, then the food item is sweeter. So this acknowledgement and understanding of dependency of one variable on another variable, or one attribute and another attribute, that occurs through supervision. If you do not provide that supervision, machine is not going to know and is only going to probably do some unsupervised data analysis, which, as I said, it could classify the menu items to five. Some have 5 grams of sugar, some have 10 grams of sugar. And this is where now I think we can talk about dependent variables and independent variables. Your data is going to have some independent attributes, basically the attributes that are not dependent on each other, or they could be dependent but the machine doesn't know that they are dependent. And then there are some attributes that are going to be dependent attributes, and then the dependent attributes are function of independent attributes. So in this, again, the bakery example, the level of sweetness is a function of the amount of sugar. So the amount of sugar is an independent attribute of menu items. The level of sweetness is a dependent attribute. The connection between the independent attribute and the dependent attribute has to be made by someone who is training the machine on this dependency, and that's supervision. If you do not do that, then the machine might not understand the dependency and would do some kind of unsupervised uh, data analysis method. And that's exactly why supervised machine learning methods are important to know the uh, estimating another sample space from a given sample space, because in a particular sample space in an infinite population, you train the machine on the dependency of attributes, and then if you give some independent attributes from another sample space, the machine can figure out the dependency or can give you an understanding of dependency uh, in another sample space. And that's why you can travel through sample spaces with supervised machine learning methods. But if you have unsupervised methods, you only remain in one single sample space. Thanks for tuning in. I made this podcast to talk about intuitions behind data science, and we'll talk about some other idea in the next episode. There will be no math, no equations, just intuitions behind data science. See you soon.